You're listening to Second Cut. This is the weekly podcast from thefilmmagazine.com where we talk about topics in film theory, history, and criticism. And I don't know, whatever else I say. I'm Jacob, and I'm the one who had that intro down but has now forgotten it.
Oh, you've lost the magic. I'm Sam. I'm the one who's just about ready to tattoo Justice for Greta on my forehead.
Yes. And Kieran is not here, but he sends his rainy regard. I don't want to say warm because I don't think it's warm in Wales, but whatever regards he has.
Yeah.
For someone who says, don't find me, and their job is essentially built around find me. Whatever kinds of regards that person would send.
Yeah. I mean, he did leave us with a little factoid about how many more Oscar nominations Jared Leto has compared to a lot of people who more deserve it.
And how many is that, Sam?
Hang on. He says, just a reminder, Jared Leto has more Oscars in actual categories, not pity Oscars, than Hitchcock, Kubrick, and Fincher combined. So he has, does he have 2 or 3? Hang on,
I don't know. Does he have 3?
Dallas Buyers Club. What else has he done recently?
He deserved that.
What other overacting has he done?
That's a good question. I'll pull it up here. Stall.
I don't know whether he was nominated for Requiem for a Dream. He definitely wasn't nominated for House of Gucci. Oh no, he was nominated for House of Gucci. Was he? Was that like a really weird?
Is that a movie?
Yeah, House of Gucci, where he with his Mario accent.
I'm thinking of there was an FX TV special from Ryan Murphy about the murder of somebody.
Okay, well it's probably the same story. Then Ridley Scott did it with more money.
I just see he won Best Supporting Actor for Dallas Buyers Club, which is 1.
Right. So any nominations?
Not at the Academy Awards. I see a bunch for let me double check that. Yeah, I see the AACTA Awards, the AARP Movies for Grown-Ups Awards.
Okay.
House of Gucci did win for that. He got Best Supporting Actor.
So yeah, we're talking about Oscar snubs, aren't we?
We are, and I mean for relevant reason. There's been some outrage online. By the way, what I was thinking of is the assassination of Gianni Versace. So different Italian fashion person.
Okay.
Yes. But Sam, tell us, what is it that, well, I guess you already kind of did in your intro, but what made us discuss Oscar snubs today?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few things that have got people's hackles up a little bit when the nominations came out. None more so than Greta Gerwig, the director of the biggest film of the year, Barbie, not getting a nomination for direction.
Well, I mean, I think that is our biggest one, but the bigger one in Twitter film discourse is Margot Robbie.
Okay, no, but to be honest, yeah, that's not the one that gets me. She's a massive star. She's been nominated 4. She'll be nominated again. But the Academy has a horrible habit of generally ignoring women directors.
Well, I was about to say, not for Best Actress.
No, we're not on that. But yeah, they've got a horrible habit just in recent years of just having the token woman director on the list, as they have done again this year. I mean, not that I'm saying Justine Triet shouldn't have been nominated. I haven't seen Ask Me Before yet. I've heard it's it's very very powerful film, and I plan to see it fairly soon. But I don't know. I don't know who you'd unseat to get Greta in the list. But yeah, they do have a history. Just it's either no women directors on the list at all, or one.
Well,
nothing.
I think for me, it's. I mean, I hate to say it because I really like the movie, but Oppenheimer. Like, if we're gonna have 2 popular billion or nearly billion-dollar films that were not supporting each other at the box office, creating the phenomenon, I mean, I would put Greta in over Christopher Nolan, not because they're interchangeable, but you know, I mean, I didn't see Anatomy of a Fall, Poor Things, or Zone of Interest, but they seem to be well regarded. And I'm not going to say no to Killers of the Flower Moon because that movie is incredible.
Scorsese's your boy.
That too. I mean, look, he deserves it. He's not there because
Yes.
he's Martin Scorsese. He's there
Yeah.
because the movie is important.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair with him, he's missed out enough over the years. You know, it's about time he gets some much overdue respect. I mean, he's probably at that stage of his career. Unless he has an absolute disaster, he will usually make the cut, I think. But yeah, obviously, fully deservedly so this time.
Yeah. Well, and I have this quote here from this is Mary McNamara, a Times columnist for the Los Angeles Times. She says, "If only Barbie had done a little time as a sex worker, or barely survived becoming the next victim in a mass murder plot, or stood accused of shoving Ken out of the dream house's top window. Certainly millions of Barbie fans are currently wishing they could push someone, perhaps a member or two of the Film Academy, out of a very high window."
Yeah, that was a quote this week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
understandably got a lot of backlash.
of course, the problem with that being like, it's tough to talk about this as two dudes because,
Yeah.
like, I love Barbie. I love the we've talked about this, the feminist messaging of it, the acknowledgement of patriarchy and sort of the, you know, gender studies 101 stuff in a movie that's entertaining and popular and making lots of money. But like, it's about a toy, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, one of the common arguments for the director category as opposed to the best picture, because obviously the best picture goes to the producer, you know. So,
who is
know,
Margot Robbie,
like,
by the way?
Yes. Which is,
so she's not empty of nominations.
The irony, yes. But yeah, obviously everyone votes, you know, in the Academy votes for the Best Picture award. That's like kind of the big one, you know, for a reason, you know. And then generally it's the people involved in various factions within the film industry who voted for the various categories. The argument normally with the best director categories, they tend to be like the flashier director kind of awards, you know, lots of big impressive camera movements and like big grand scale kind of things. And
I'll get to that later.
Not always does the best director match up with the best picture, you know, winner. You know, you had 2000, Ridley Scott winning best picture for Gladiator, but best director. Oh god, I'm drawing blank now. Someone else got best director anyway, and I think he had a big. He didn't take that too lightly. I think he had a lot to say about that. A few years ago, you had Life of Pi. Ang Lee got best director. You know, very visually spectacular kind of film, but it didn't get best picture that year. So you know, there is often a split like that, and if you're going to be stereotypical, maybe a lot of people say, oh, you know, like women directors more often than not, they're doing the smaller, more intimate films and not doing.
Nomadland.
Yeah, but even that, you know, it's like it was Chloe Zhao having quite a grand canvas in terms of how she used landscape and everything. You know, it's
right.
I think any throwaway kind of excuse for why it didn't happen, it's a bit. Yeah, I don't really buy the reasoning behind it. I think this year of all years, I think she should have been on that list for me.
Yeah, I mean, Greta Gerwig has been nominated for each of the other films she's done. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Lady Bird and Little Women. I mean, she got nominated for those. This is the movie to nominate her for. I mean, let's if I'm in the.
Just the amount of plates, you know, she has to keep spinning, you know, to stop this thing, you know, going off the rails, you know, just it's like such a fine like balance of tone and kind of like how, you know, how it looks, how it feels, and you know, not losing the message, you know, above all the you know, behind all the fun and the spectacle. You know, it's a really tough act to kind of pull off.
Well, and also to make something actually socially, culturally, emotionally meaningful out of a commercial. You know, it'd be like if Transformers was about the I don't know, some kind of trans allegory or something. She took something that should have been stupid and
Yeah.
made it something real, something impactful on. And I think we can see that in the outrage. It's people that are personally involved, in an emotional sense. The women that I've seen discussing it and the discussions I've had with like my wife or whatever, but the one thing that is annoying is the Barbie versus Ken. It's not that Ryan Gosling was nominated for Best Actress over Margot Robbie. If anything, I would think that kind of shows that it's a weak pool of supporting actor that they were looking at. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like the crowd pleasing kind of showy kind of performance, which are the ones that tend to get nominated. So I think that there is as something that there is no there it's Barbie and Ken, isn't it? It's difficult to kind of split them out of one part from the other, but I suppose they would go for the showy performance if they're going to nominate one of them.
Yeah. And I'm much more aggrieved about Greta, as we've made clear. Yeah. In addition to it's a good movie, it's also the historical director, women behind the camera. I mean, come on, throw the token woman out at the very least. Like, come on, guys. Come on. It's not that hard. They should have looked at the list and been like, yeah, we're going to fudge this. Like, it was stupid not to do that.
Yeah. I have seen one suggestion this year. I mean, it's probably been first before, but I've sort of seen it get more traction this year. Just saying, is it time that we split the director category like we have done with the acting categories? So you have best male director, best female director, then you're guaranteed to get equal representation.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure if we had best performer, it would also be dominated by men. Like, just because that's, as Barbie shows, that's how things go. I'm not opposed to it because female directors need more recognition. They need their names out there. The small films that they make need to be fully recognized. And yeah, Greta gets a nomination for screenplay, but isn't that like with Noah Baumbach too?
Yes. Yeah. So again, it seems a little bit of a consolation prize, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, good for him too. But the big important thing whenever I'm looking at the nominees really is Lily Gladstone getting her nomination. I can't remember if she's the first Indigenous actor from America to probably anywhere, honestly, but
I believe she is. Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, first Best Actress.
Yeah. Actually, so there was the lead in Alfonso Cuarón's film the other year. That again, another Indigenous actress. She got a nomination, didn't she? For what was that film called? We talked about it the other week. Thank you, Roma.
Yes.
My complete blank. Yes. Yeah. She was nominated, but yeah, definitely
and
definitely among the first. And as much as I adore Emma Stone in Poor Things, and Poor Things is one of my films of the year. I think it should be Lily Gladstone that walked away this time. I think it's they often talk about who's got the best story, who's got the best narrative, and I think that is definitely the best story because again, Emma Stone's been nominated before, she'll be nominated again. That was probably next year, so it's not like she's in need of another gong particularly.
Yeah, and I didn't know Margot Robbie was only 33. That's pretty crazy, but I do think. She was also snubbed for Babylon last year, but whatever on that. The other, standout from Barbie is America Ferrera. She got Best Supporting Actress nomination, and that is one thing missing from the discourse is that intersectional aspect of the people who were nominated.
That's the thing. I was really pleasantly surprised here on the list. I wasn't expecting it to be honest. I love performance, and she's probably the most important character in the whole film. But I wasn't expecting kind of obviously, yeah, she's got that great monologue, but generally it's not as showy a performance. So I wasn't necessarily expecting it. I mean, you have. In the supporting actor category, you have Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things, who's basically playing a cartoon character, which again, entertaining, kind of memorable and everything, but not heartfelt, but it was nice to see like a more honest kind of grounded, down to earth kind of portrayal, getting some recognition as well.
And why on earth was Robert Downey Jr. nominated? Like he doesn't do anything in Oppenheimer. There's so many other, and I guess it has to do with not WB, Universal pushing him, or somebody like.
Is it the best Robert Downey Jr. not playing Iron Man awards?
Yeah, that's. I don't understand why he's there.
I think he's good in Oppenheimer. I don't think he's
fine.
don't think. I mean, of the acting cast, I think Cillian Murphy definitely should win. If there's going to be an acting award, I think that Oppenheimer walks away with. There's no guarantee there. I think it should probably be him, but.
Yeah,
but it's a real kind of ensemble piece, Oppenheimer. So apart from Cillian Murphy, it's really hard to kind of.
It's a bunch of supporting actors.
Yes. Lots of grim men in grim suits talking grimly.
Yes, or grim women also.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I'm rooting for Robert De Niro. He's so damn good in Killers.
Yeah, because that's probably his best performance in 20 years, I think.
Probably.
It's nice to see him actually try again, actually sink his teeth into a role, because it's been a while.
I need to actually watch some of these movies because so many I look at it and I go, I haven't seen Zone of Interest.
I have seen 7 out of the 10 so far, so I'm still need to see Zone of Interest and American Fiction, which are both out over here in a couple of weeks. And I need to watch Anatomy of a Fall, which I've got downloads, but I haven't watched yet. So.
Yeah. All right. So, Sam, we have a couple questions. What were people curious about?
I mean, just before we go on to that, think we should just define an Oscar snub? I'd say, because this is a bit of a blur here. Some people think it's like films that missed out, films that should have won when they were nominated, but they didn't come up with the top prize, like. The classic one is Shawshank and Pulp Fiction, both nominated for Best Picture, but lost out to Forrest Gump in '94. They're not technically snubs in my mind because they were nominated. I say a snub is something that didn't get recognition at all. That it didn't even get a nomination. That's in my mind what a snub is.
I agree, but I think that the first definition bled into really my choice, which I picked 2001, and I guess I could say it was snubbed from Best Picture, but I mean, really, the snub there is not giving Kubrick Best Director. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, but yes. So question. So James this week asked, how did the Lego Movie not get nominated for Best Animation in 2014? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think that was again kind of a bit like Barbie. It's like a thing people presume was going to be just a big cash in, a big feature-length kind of commercial for a product, and ends up being something a lot more interesting. Very kind of like a meta commentary on kind of like on the brands and on imagination and the act of play and growing up and all that. Maybe it was just a bit too ahead of its time, I'd argue. 10 years ago, before we got a lot more films like that, and it's one of the earlier ones in that regard.
Well, I mean, and they're not opposed to commercialism because Big Hero 6 won. I mean, that's probably I'm sure Best Animated Feature is typically Disney paid the most money award. We're hosting you on our network.
To be honest, I did for the Film Magazine. I ranked sort of the best animated picture winners of the years, the year, and I ended most of the sections with a little note about like what should have won in my mind and kind of what the trend was over the years. And generally speaking, 9 times out of 10, it's either DreamWorks or Disney or Pixar. It's a big glossy CG animated affair, as well made and as heartfelt as they usually are. There's normally a lot more interesting stuff each year. Stop motion animation, traditional animation, anything a bit darker or more surreal tends to miss out. So I just think the Lego Movie at this point was probably just a bit too bit too ahead of its time.
I also
Oh,
see How to Train Your Dragon 2 was nominated, which like
well,
a sequel? Come on.
no, me and James, How to Train Your Dragon franchise's biggest cheerleaders. We both think that should have won Best Animated Feature that year.
Hey, that's fine. I don't mean to slight it. It's more like, I see the really interesting looking anime movie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and
Yes,
you couldn't have put the Lego movie in over How to Train Your. It's another principle of the thing.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah, and Holly as well. She's points out like one of the most egregious acts by the Academy over the years was The Shining. Not only was it not nominated for any Oscars, it received 2 Razzie nominations, one for Kubrick as worst director and the other for Shelley Duvall as worst actress, which is completely mind blowing. She says, yeah,
I didn't know that it got Razzie nominations. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see. I know it wasn't like the massive kind of critical success it is today. It's been reappraised since, but how can you look at that and say that is a badly directed movie? I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, maybe there was Kubrick fatigue at the time.
Maybe, yeah.
And then I think there wasn't a question about it, but like Citizen Kane only won 1 Oscar out of 9 nominations. So I mean, we're looking at the snub, in terms of like it was nominated but didn't win stuff. And apparently part of that is attributed to William Randolph Hearst anti-campaigning.
Yes, yeah. Anyone who's watched Mank knows a bit about this. Just how much kind of moving and shaking the walls behind the scenes. All the kind of cloak and dagger stuff that was going on. Just I mean, back in days when newspapers could literally change the fortunes of presidents, businesses, movies, make or break careers. It's just he was such a powerful player, at the time, Hearst.
Yeah, and then did we get a Muppets question from James?
He has not thought of a Muppets questions.
I thought of one then. Which which category would you insert a Muppet into to replace the person becomes a Muppet, and which would you pick? And I'll go with make Martin Scorsese a Muppet so he can live eternally and keep making movies.
Okay, I will go for. I'm trying to think of people who aren't already a little bit Muppety.
I don't even know which category would really benefit from having a Muppet.
Okay, I'll go for a Best Picture nominee then. I'll go for the holdovers, and I think Paul Giamatti should be a Muppet. I mean, he's a little bit Muppety, but I think that would liven up the category. And he's quite cuddly and likable already, but playing like a prickly, unlikable character as he does in that film, that'd be fun if he was like Sam the Eagle or something.
I also think keep Oppenheimer a human and turn everyone else into Muppets is viable.
I'm just thinking of the sex scene with Florence Pugh now.
Oh, it should have been make Florence Pugh the only. She's not in it long enough, unfortunately. R.I.P. to that character. All right, well, I guess we can discuss the movies that we watch now. Go read our Oscar nominations at the Film Magazine. Joe, put out the list, and everybody has the same list. Why not read one from independent cinema writing?
Give us your clicks. It really does help.
Oh, and also, I should have said this much earlier, but shout out to all the people who donated to keep us online for 6 more years.
We're alive and kicking. We've got a stay of execution, and we're going to make the most of it.
Yeah, for the next rest of the decade. So, hooray. So I watched 2001 A Space Odyssey, which at the 41st Academy Awards on February 24th, 1969, did not have the chance to win Best Picture because it was not nominated. It did receive nominations for Best Director, which Kubrick did not win. And let's see, there was another one.
Who did win Best Director that year?
Sir Carol Reed for Oliver.
Okay.
So I've never seen Oliver.
To be honest, I'm not going to object to that because I love Oliver. I like myself a musical.
So I mean, yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Is that's very telling of the times that a musical, at the Golden Globes, it won Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy and Best Actor Musical or Comedy for Ron Moody. I mean, this thing killed at the Oscars, also winning Best Picture. Ron Moody was nominated. Like, I don't want to slight Oliver, but I will say a musical would not be winning Best Picture and Best Director in 2024 over 2001: A Space Odyssey. No. And what's crazy is, Kubrick is sort of in the height of his making movies. Strange Love. Then he'd make that Not Napoleon. What was that? Barry Lyndon. Yeah, he's on a real hot streak in this era after Lolita, and the nomination for Best Director. I mean, it's such a crazy movie. What he did technologically in that film is like, Star Wars would be the next thing to start making technological groundbreaking work on that sort of scale.
Tell you what, if it was the hippies voting, then he would have definitely got his Best Director win.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of something more like stock Hollywood industry than giving it to a musical directed by someone who would become a knight.
Yeah.
The only other more likely thing is that it would be a really boring biopic, Yeah. So
cradle to grave type thing. No unremarkable dull incident in life left unremarked upon.
Yeah. So the other nominees that year for Best Picture, by the way, were Romeo and Juliet, which I've never seen it. It looks like modernish. Rachel. Oh, hang on. We got a question from Greg. Greg, we'll get to that in a second. Rachel is an American drama film from Paul Newman, which starred his wife, Joanne Woodward. The Lion in Winter, starring Peter O'Toole as Henry II, and Funny Girl. Another musical comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I watched The Lion in Winter this Christmas, actually, and very good performance in it. I'm not sure if I particularly talk about the direction in it, really. It's basically a film play.
Those were Best Picture nominees.
Oh, right.
Although it did also get Best Director nomination. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah, so... Yeah, again, if it's like you're giving the prize out for like the overall kind of achievement, you got to look like you've put in the work. It's I can't think of many more films than that show that more more than like 2001. That's just again kind of the incredible kind of versatility requires, and just the scale of the kind of what he's trying to convey, on like a conceptual, philosophical kind of level.
Yeah, and watching it this time, it's very much like a silent film. But just a quick note: the Battle of Algiers in 2001 replaced Rachel, and Funny Girl in Best Director. So those were Best Picture nominees, but apparently their direction really sucked.
Right.
But the Battle of Algiers is awesome, so I would recommend watching that over. I mean, Sam, I know you like Oliver and The Lion in Winter, apparently, but go watch the Battle of Algiers instead.
Yeah, it's on the list. I will get to it.
Okay, so real quick, Greg, you said if you could create a new award, what would it be? and we're gonna say we can't do best male and female director split since we already said we would do that.
Okay, I'm going to say it's been cried out for years and never more so now. I think best stunts, or best stunt choreography, or best however you want to describe it, but an award given to the whole kind of stunt team basically. And if you have films like Mission Impossible and the John Wick movies and all kinds of other things, just the amount of stuff they're achieving still largely practically, putting their lives on the line just to do something cool on the screen, and just that needs to be recognized.
Nice. I think I would go with, because I'm too lazy to think of one, splitting animated into adult and family.
Okay.
Then you could get more animated stuff in there.
Yeah, maybe that's another complaint again that's come up this year. Obviously, there's some real good animated movies this year, but once again, that you don't tend to see them outside the animated category. I think the only time that's happened recently was it last year? You had the God, I'm really drawing blanks at this time for film titles, but
Black
the
Panther,
the refugee drama.
Oh yeah,
The refugee documentary that was animated, or rotoscoped, however it was done. That appeared in both documentary and the animation category, I seem to remember.
yeah. Greg wants
Flee. That was it.
Greg also wants to know: is there one we would get rid of? And I don't know if they're still doing the popular movie Oscar, but if they, I don't see it on our list. If they are doing it, scrap that.
No, they're not.
Thank
Golden
goodness.
Globes the Golden Globes picks up that unenviable
That burden.
idea. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the remaining categories now, I think they've all got their place. I think recognizing all like short films as well is particularly important. You have like animated short and live action short and documentary short. I think they're all pretty important. Obviously, all the technical categories saw their place.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of recognizing less people, because they leave stuff off the show anyway. Like, if anything, I would say add more categories and just don't show them.
Yeah. Didn't have, was it last year or the year before, where best cinematography was in the commercial break?
Yep.
So literally, that's how you get a movie, and you're not acknowledging it. What the hell?
Yeah. But yeah, so that those are Greg's questions. Maybe one I would add is maybe you could split it into like good and popular, and then good and not popular. So no popular movie. It's not just like, oh, we're giving this to Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever. It has to actually be something of artistic merit. In addition to being a film that made over X amount of money.
Maybe there should be, if they're giving out categories for like the most money, the biggest audience, maybe they should have like the inverse again. Like, maybe we go to Razzie territory, but like the film that's been the biggest disaster this year on the box office level. How many. Which film like only took in like $1,000 at the box office or something? So there usually is at least one of those each year.
Yes. All right. So back to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Greg, thank you for weighing in, just in time. Yeah. I mean, what it is in. Well, I'll start with what it's about. I don't know. It's not like a plot-driven movie. It's about people going on space missions to go look at black pillars sending radio waves, and then they sit on a ship and try not to be. It's about technology as evil and destroying the world, in a sense.
It's very much a vibes movie, isn't it? It's like you just got to get in the right headspace and just let it sweep you along, and not worry that something isn't happening every single second. It's just, you just need to go with it.
They're very much minutes upon minutes where nothing is really happening, I'm engrossed. Like I love watching that. But yeah, no, it's not Star Wars. What's hilarious though is I don't have the quote for it, but Tarkovsky hated. Is that his name? I maybe whoever did Stalker, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Tarkovsky, yeah.
Okay, cool. I always mix up, Russian artist names. He criticized 2001 for being like pretentious and not art. But like, I think that 2001 is what really allows Kubrick's sort of cold, observationist, very scientific demeanor to shine through, because it's so much a showcasing of like, look at what I can do. I can make people walk on the ceiling, do all kinds of crazy stuff. And like, it's more than that. It is philosophical. There are ideas and meaning within it. But I mean, it's the technology and the filmmaking that I think stands out the most.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of why I picked this, well, Barbie has an opening sequence inspired or taken, borrowed, played on this movie. The intro to both. They're in a desert with primitive humans, whether they are children or monkeys, or ape creatures, whatever, that would one day become humans, discovering new technology. In the case of the Barbie movie, little girls who are sort of forced into this role with their baby doll, baby dolls. I think they mentioned that most dolls were babies at a certain point in time. They play the role of mother, and they were sort of boxed in with that. But then Barbie came along, and Barbie was this really attractive doll based on inhuman proportions that is shot like the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey. And she signals sort of this idealistic era in which girls can envision themselves as more than mothers. And that's what happens in 2001. They find the monolith. It activates something in the monkey brain, and they get bones and start using them like weapons and tools, and they begin to conquer the environment that they live in. And of course, both sequences end with throwing the doll/bone into the air, and it either turning into the title of Barbie, or in 2001's case, a spaceship, which is easily the coolest popular movie cut that anybody can think of.
It's between that and the match in Lawrence of Arabia. I think it's very hard to kind of draw a comparison between them both. So iconic and just so influential on every level.
Yeah, and then that next sequence where we see the pin floating in zero gravity, this boring 1960s guy flying on his space plane to a space station. It's just so it's not even like 60s future cool. Like, what's cool about 2001: A Space Odyssey is it seems pretty grounded future cool.
Yeah, the kind of spaceships that look like planes of the time. It's like they've got like carpet on the walls and stuff like that. Like ashtrays everywhere, and everyone's got terrible late 60s facial hair.
Yeah, it shows how much humans hate change. And technology is going to advance, but like we're still going. It has FaceTime. Like we're doing video calls, talking about birthday parties, and that really shows, in a sense, the more realistic passing of time. In the year 2001, we were still using telephones and having birthday parties. We just didn't have the space planes. Although I guess we were getting cell phones and the internet. Yeah.
And you've got that. I'm sure this kind of rivals the first Star Trek movie. For the longest shot of a spaceship coming into land in history.
Yeah,
it just goes on and on and on. It's about 10 minutes or something. That scene. It feels like it. If it isn't, it's just.
Yeah, and outside of the the ambient kind of creepy score and the big orchestral pieces that really give the grand scale in addition to like the wide shots and epic filmography or photography. There is just moments of silence too, where it's very eerie, and it does sort of turn into a horror movie towards the end in several ways, because HAL 9000 is an evil robot who is never wrong except when he begins to deceive people and go rogue, trying to kill Dave. And then it just gets surreal. And
yeah, I mean that's the bit of the film, the how kind of segment, the middle portion of the film. It's only about a quarter of the total film or something like that, and that's the bit everyone talks about. The bit everyone seems to remember. It's like it's the opening shot, it's the HAL bit, and then it's the trippy Star Child stuff at the end.
Yeah, because
people to remember.
It's easy to conflate the first mission where they fly to the moon with 1960s white guys with the mission where they're flying to Jupiter with 1960s white guys. There should have been a more distinguishing feature between Dave and Frank. Although I guess, is Frank on the second voyage? I don't remember, because they're all so bland looking. I can't tell the difference between. I don't know if the people on the moon who hear the ringing, I don't know if they die. I don't know what happens. I have no clue. It doesn't matter though.
Yeah, no, the last time I saw this film was probably about 7 or 8 years ago when I see it in the cinema, but I've not watched it again since. If I'm perfectly honest, it's a film I appreciate rather than kind of enjoy of Kubrick's films. It feels, I see how important it is, I see how well it's made, but it does feel like homework to me.
Which is probably why it didn't win any awards. It seems like in the 60s they were more like, we need fun, exciting movies and not boring shots of space. The stepping stone for learning how to fake the moon landing or whatever. Okay, is that going to get us taken down? I hope not. That was a joke. So, yeah, I mean, aside from the technology stuff, which the monolith, it pushes humanity forward, but then humans create AI, and then AI begins to go off on its own. Develop its own will and begin to prey on humanity. I kind of skipped around and mainly watched the opening up until the HAL stuff, and then went to the weird part at the end. So I forget what HAL's motives are exactly, but it shows the utility and danger that technology can pose, which we say duh now, and probably people were in 1968 too. But I think it does it in a really intelligent and of course, really, really well shot. Like it's an expose on film technology. And I think particularly the rotating sets and zero gravity effects are so cool.
And when you get parody on The Simpsons, you know that you've really hit like that kind of pop cultural kind of osmosis level as well.
I would like to think that's what Kubrick thought. Finally, my work is appreciated.
I would put money on Kubrick being a Simpsons fan. I think he did have like some eclectic taste. I think he was into his animation. He was into obviously he was a real Anglophile, so he was into like British sitcoms as well. He was
Yeah.
Which I like to think that's why he started working with Leonard Rossiter, who was in one of the early scenes in 2001. He's one of the guys, one of the boring white 60s guys hanging around, waiting for a meeting or a flight or something. He's one of the guys waiting at the space airport. And then he's in Barry Lyndon as well, but he's best known in the UK for being in 2 British sitcoms, Rising Damp and Reggie Perrin. So
and Kubrick was in the UK by this point, so
so I like to think he was just I like your TV stuff, Leonard. Do you want to be in my weird sci-fi movie? And do you want to re-team with me on my weird historical epic?
And I miss Clockwork Orange in there too. Like he's just I mean, Kubrick in the 60s to 70s. Apparently, he fell off with The Shining, but even though it made multiple of our top 10 lists of the film magazine.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if there's two of his movies that kind of seem most of a piece of each other, that'd be really good kind of bill. I think it would be 2001 and The Shining. I
yeah,
just think they just have the same kind of all-encompassing kind of oppressive atmosphere, you know, and
yeah, they're eerie and mysterious and
yeah,
low populated. There are moments where like scenes are allowed to breathe and there's not much going on. Just one has more of a horror dressing and the other more of
yeah.
sci-fi.
They both have these indelible images that just sear themselves into your brain, you know.
And then to bring it back to Barbie, I mean, I talked about the intro, but the end of Barbie, she walks out and she says, "I want to give, I want to give meaning instead of have it, impressed upon me. I want to create, not be the created," which to me is very similar to where Hal ends up. I mean, he's not creating, but his meaning does not come from programming. He's an emergent consciousness now. And in Barbie, obviously, it's more of a feminist message. It's about, rather than women having the appearance of equality, it's about actually being a person not defined by something else. Well, with 2001, it's different, but it's interesting that there are parallels in that. Except in 2001, it's more sinister, where AI, non-human entities are developing that sort of sentience and desire. And then the whole end part where he becomes a baby floating around the earth. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, apparently the novelization and then the sequel they did a few years later, they both explain all that, which kind of makes you think, well, I never want to see or read those because I don't really want to know.
Yeah, and maybe there's something about the natural state of humanity re-merging with the cosmos. Freeing ourselves from technology in order to progress in life. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably tons of things written about it. I'm not here to interpret 2001 beyond the context of here's where I noticed the similarities to Barbie.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. I mean, we could do, well, I imagine we will do a Kubrick episode in the future.
I mean, we've done, what, 2, 3 of his movies? We've discussed 3 pretty in depth at this point. But there's still so many. But yeah.
Yeah, there's about 6 more.
There you go. Quick maths. So that is my bit on 2001. It should have been nominated for Best Picture. It should have won Best Picture, Best Director, but I am biased. I think the other category it was nominated in was visual effects, and it did win that. So
yeah. I mean, I saw a Kubrick. I saw a Kubrick exhibition in London a few years ago, and they had some of the models from 2001. So I've seen those spaceships just hanging above my heads for real. It's amazing.
By the way, there were only 2 films nominated for Best Special Visual Effects. 2001, where Kubrick was the one nominated for that, and Ice Station Zebra, which, now I'm going to make 1968 Best Special Visual Effects Oscars ranked, and it'll just be those 2 entries.
So Kubrick would be number 1. He shouldn't even be credited for it.
Yes, and Ice Station Zebra is an espionage thriller, which from the poster it looks like, oh gosh, what's the movie with Kurt Russell in Antarctica?
The Thing?
Yes, The Thing. Thank you. What's that thing? It's The Thing. Ice Station Zebra looks like an espionage thriller, The Thing, because they're all wearing parkas and they're on ice. But then there's like planes and missiles, so that's very Cold War exciting.
Indeed. So yeah, for my snub. Now I gave this some thought because the first thing that came to my mind. This isn't what I picked, but the first thing that came to my mind was The Dark Knight, because that's for me one of the most egregious misses by the Academy in history. To not give that a Best Picture nomination, and it's heavily rumored that was a deciding factor in them increasing the number of Best Picture nominees from the following year onwards.
What's
Which is why,
crazy is Twitter was like just happening, and there were
yeah,
people complaining about that.
yeah. But yeah, that was one of those. I mean, we're still getting it today. It's like kind of superhero movies still kind of somewhat looked down on as a genre. Kind of are there anything more than just brainless popcorn entertainment?
Who
And
would think that?
yes,
Certainly no one on this show.
and the vast majority, there is an argument to be made. But then every now and then one comes along like The Dark Knight or for me, like a Black Panther or a Spider-Verse, where there is definitely more going on and should at least be. I'm not saying it should have won Best Picture that year. Don't be silly, but it was nice for Christopher Nolan to have like a acknowledgement that he was doing something genuinely different with like the genre.
Sam,
Um,
would you
but
call it elevated superhero?
Oh yes, I mean I did describe once that it's not really a superhero movie. It's a Heat remake with Batman and the Joker in it. There
uh,
is something like that.
by the way, sorry to derail this, but Kieran's not here. Someone has to. I watched Scream 5 finally, where,
Oh yeah.
Jenna Ortega defines elevated horror. And, I mean, it makes sense that should it be a thing? Probably not. But her definition of it being, it's more focused on themes and ideas. I mean, yeah, anything that is elevated anything is focused more on the important aspects of storytelling more so than just having genre trappings.
Yeah.
Simply
Wait,
genre trappings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wait till you watch Scream 6 and they double down on that.
Oh, I did watch Scream 6 and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was, for me, it was probably the most enjoyable one. Well, more enjoyable than the original reboot.
Yeah. Now I'm sad that those two are not in these movies.
Now I'm sad that Scream just won't be a thing now for the foreseeable, as they've just derailed it that much. Yeah.
In another 10 years, they'll reboot it.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll get Neve Campbell back when she's 60.
All right.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sorry, keep talking about modern Oscar snubs.
Yeah. Yes. So The Dark Knight got me thinking, but then the one that I think is probably really kind of put fire in my belly the most over the last decade or so was Jake Gyllenhaal didn't get any sort of recognition for his acting in Nightcrawler. Now, the film itself did obviously get a nomination for its screenplay, for Tony Gilroy's screenplay, but no, it is the thing that makes it is his performance, and it wasn't recognised.
You remember 10 years ago when Eddie Redmayne was popular?
I know, right? I mean, I was looking at the other nominations this year, so I was thinking, like, who could they have got rid of? Yeah, so Eddie Redmayne won that year for Stephen Hawking. I mean, I quite like The Theory of Everything as kind of very safe biopics go. It's a decent one, and I can't deny that his is a committed performance from him. But then you had like Steve Carell, Foxcatcher. Yeah, again, a very good kind of performance, which I think he got nominated for because it was kind of outside his normal wheelhouse. Very serious, scary role. From this usual comedy actor. Though I wouldn't necessarily argue that he was the lead in that because I think
was it Brad Pitt?
No. So it was was it Channing Tatum and Channing Tatum and Mark Ruffalo. So Channing Tatum's technically the leads, and then I would say Mark Ruffalo and Steve Carell both the kind of supporting roles in that film. But anyway, then you had Bradley Cooper in American Sniper. I can take or leave that really. Benedict Cumberbatch in Imitation Game. Again, another very worthy kind of, but quite dull kind of biopic.
Yeah.
And then Michael Keaton in Birdman. So of those, I probably would have gone for Michael Keaton, I think. But this was like the first Inarritu kind of sweep. When he got director and picture that year, and then obviously had Keaton nominated for best actor. But yeah, I think you could have very easily had Gyllenhaal in there. But I think quite famously, it's more difficult, I think, for actors especially to get recognition for playing really detestable people. They've usually got to have some kind of redeeming quality, or they're doing bad things for the right reasons or whatever. If they're just absolute heels, they're just completely irredeemable, then it's a bit more difficult, I think, to get that recognition.
Maybe that's why
Of actors.
Rosamund Pike also lost for playing a antagonist.
Yeah, yeah. So in Nightcrawler, Gyllenhaal plays Lou Bloom, who's like a scuzzy freelance photographer who skulks around LA in the dead of night on the lookout for graphic footage of car accidents and violent crimes that he can sell on to local news agencies. But kind of as he's on like this little kind of odyssey, he kind of goes deeper and deeper into like a moral rabbit hole, and it becomes obsessive and erratic and pretty morally reprehensible, and kind of the lengths he's prepared to go to kind of engineer these kind of instances where he can get this footage, this shocking footage, and he gradually starts to lose grip on reality. I think at the time it got some early kind of notice because the pictures were released of what Gyllenhaal was looking like in it, and people noticed immediately how drawn, how much weight lost for the role. It was one of these really just losing the pounds just to look like he hadn't slept in weeks, and he didn't eat, didn't do anything kind of healthy. It was just his obsession that kind of drove him that to what he did.
Very method.
Yeah, which is interesting on that level because it's probably something we hadn't really seen from Gyllenhaal at that point. He's kind of best known, obviously, aside from like slightly more esoteric stuff. Like Donnie Darko, he's kind of known as a bit more of like a bit more of a heartthrob. A bit of a bit safer.
Brokeback Mountain, he is kind of still
Yeah.
heartthrob.
Yeah, and he's the more lovable of those two. I mean, and that obviously Heath Ledger's like the kind of the rough one. The
rough
the
and
one that keeps it
tumble.
all, yeah, the one that keeps it all berries and kind of repressed, whereas he's more open, definitely. I mean, it did get a lot of kind of good critical kind of write ups. I think a lot of people compared it to De Niro in Scorsese films, especially to Taxi Driver and to King of Comedy, which interestingly the latter didn't receive any Oscar nominations either. So, and I suppose he's, apart from the fact he's fairly charismatic and a little bit tragic, I suppose De Niro and that he doesn't really have many redeeming qualities. And I mean, De Niro is probably one of the best in the business for playing pretty terrible people really compellingly. Though he has been recognised for it a couple of times in his career. Generally, you don't get like the big prize for those kind of roles. They tend to nominate them for, kind of more kind of palatable things. So I know it's everyone's taste, and I know it's like the acting contingent of the Academy, who are voting for these awards and stuff. But I find it fascinating it wasn't even shortlisted when it was such a transformation, and it was just so unlike anything he'd done up to that point. I mean, I think he's been more known for this kind of performance, like more recently. He's done plenty of more kind of out there, kind of out of his comfort zone kind of films since this. I think he's become known for one of these people who will transform for a role, who will put the work in, put on weight, lose weight, put on muscle, and do whatever's required for the role. But this was the kind of first time we kind of saw him be not just kind of creepy and kind of weirdly hypnotic, but quite scary and quite terrifying. Just Lou Bloom is that kind of character. It's like you don't know whether he's just going to whether he's going to cry at you, kind of go like laugh hysterically or stab you. It's just that kind of unpredictable.
The Joker.
Yeah, basically Joker without makeup. Yeah, and he has this relationship with Rene Russo's character. She plays like the head of this like news agency, and she kind of thinks she kind of sees him as like an asset at first. He's kind of he's a bit of a risk, but he's a worthwhile risk because of the stuff he brings her, and she tries to manipulate him and kind of keep him under control. Then she realizes that she really doesn't have any handle on him. She realizes just how disturbed he is and how little control she could possibly have over him, and he ends up essentially blackmailing her, kind of redressing that kind of power balance. And by the end, he's gone on a bit of a journey, but he hasn't really changed. He's still pretty reprehensible, and he's ends up he's got a very nice cameraman following him around for most of the movie, a bit of a puppy dog, played by Riz Ahmed, who he just abuses and just gets to do the dirty work. And this guy ends up in not a good place by the end of the movie. So he's got to recruit someone else. And the very final scene of the film is he's got through it all, and he's recruiting a new group of camera people, that he can just abuse and manipulate and get to do his bidding. He's got lines of like, I'd never ask you to do anything I wasn't willing to do myself, and it's a complete lie. He's just going to throw him under the bus and just get him to do everything so he can get away with it, so he can carry on just being
Yeah.
absolute
And
horror.
I need to rewatch this, but reading about it, morally reprehensible is sort of putting it lightly.
Yes. Yeah.
And the way that he treats whatever Rene Russo's character in particular.
Yeah. I mean, he's an emotional and physical abuser. He's a felon. It's just pretty much everything you kind of you wouldn't want your protagonist to be, but he is strangely kind of fascinating because of it. I always think you don't have to be a likable kind of protagonist. You don't have to be likable to be a protagonist, a protagonist in a movie. You just have to be interesting. You have to have these flaws. You have to have different layers and shades of grey. It's I think he's definitely got that. I just think it's a really brave and bold performance for him at that time, and I just think he should have got a bit more love for it, really.
Yeah, I remember really liking it, being really impressed by him whenever I saw it in theaters. Being, oh man, creepy Jake Gyllenhaal, this is so cool. And then, of course, there is sort of the commentary on American press and
yes,
the need to sensationalize and all that. But like our news, at least here where I live, they don't show like videos of dead bodies and freshly shot people. I don't get this kind of footage. I have to go to Live Leak or Reddit or something if I wanted to find this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it is like this in LA these days, or whether it's an exaggeration for dramatic effects. I mean, again, over here, I don't. They even, I suppose probably the most graphic thing you'd see is like reporting from like a war zone or something, and obviously all stuff happened in the Middle East recently. Some obviously very upsetting footage in that, and there's normally a warning before that. You say this report contains images some viewers may find distressing.
Yeah, when I think of like news footage of wars that they show, it's like missiles firing and soldiers standing around. Like we don't show we like to talk about sensational stories, but we don't show the imagery because Americans are prudes, or because of actual reasonable media standards. One of those two.
Yeah. Would you say it's a matter of taste? It's some good taste, not overly sensationalizing stuff. It's showing the quality of your reporting and kind of delivering information in like a clear and informative way. And just being. I mean, even news is like it's storytelling, isn't it? It's kind of you got to grip your viewer and get them to understand the ins and outs of the situation you're reporting on.
Yeah. Oh, and James reminds us that Jake Gyllenhaal's in the Roadhouse remake.
Oh yes, which we talked about when we did the original Roadhouse on the audio version of this podcast, didn't we?
Yeah. So who knows if that'll ever actually come? Is Conor McGregor still going to be in it? I mean, he's had.
I think so. Yeah. But this is Doug Liman this week was very disappointed to hear that it was going straight to Amazon, straight to Amazon Prime. It's not getting a big screen release.
Oh wow. But yeah, do you think that there's a scene in particular where Jake Gyllenhaal really jumps off the screen?
I mean, everyone talks about the scene where he has a moment in a bathroom, where he smashed his head against the mirror and screams at it, which it's classic like method actor kind of scene almost. It's almost designed for like an awards like reel, isn't it? But no, I think the stuff. Some of like the stuff with Riz Ahmed's character and just kind of how he kind of manipulates him and subtly kind of gets him to do what he wants to do and stuff. But I think his most effective scene is where it becomes more the scenes where it becomes more threatening with Rene Russo's character. I think just you can just see the balance of power shift, and you kind of see. Because I think he made a decision in this to not blink. I think there's very few shots of him actually blinking in this. He's like, I think he just wants to be like a shark or something.
I wish I could make that decision.
Yeah. He just kind of he's got this kind of slightly mad kind of stare about him, and this kind of. He probably thinks it's like a boyish grin, but without the blinking and the wide eyes is a bit kind of disturbing. But yeah, there's a part where he makes it clear, that he's the one in control, and and she's got no control, no power over him anymore, and he essentially needs to. Well, yeah, it leads them to. For people who haven't seen Nightcrawler, I don't really want to describe the exact things that he gets up to do, because I think it is something that benefits going.
We don't want to get taken down from YouTube.
No, but they just the whole plot machinations of it. Really, I think he gets up to some really dark stuff, and there's no coming back for it. But he's almost like oblivious to it. He's almost thinking, well, as long as I got my footage, it was all worth it,
Yep. American capitalism. I'm looking through. He was nominated by a bunch of like local, film critic associations, including the Dallas-Fort Worth one. So good job, my local place. He did get 4th place there. So also good to know that they actually rank their nominees. He won for the Austin Film Critics Association, the Houston Film Critics. Texas loved Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie. The San Diego Film Critics Association, the St. Louis Film Critics Association, the Vancouver one, he won that, and then was nominated at the Golden Globes and BAFTAs. So yeah, good. And Rene Russo also got one at the BAFTAs, so good for the two of them. Or the British Academy Film Award. That's the BAFTAs, right? I'm not stupid.
BAFTAs, yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just making sure. So he got local recognition, but yeah, I think your point about the distasteful character, although I would argue that Bradley Cooper's character is also distasteful. But he didn't win, so I guess there's that.
That's true, and he was in a Clint Eastwood movie as well, so I think that gave him a bit of a leg up compared to first-time director Dan Gilroy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Academy is necessarily partial to American war jingoism, but maybe they are. Maybe I'm underestimating them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shame that. After this kind of quite very compelling kind of critique on like capitalism and kind of taste and morality and everything like that, these two, they collaborated again on a Velvet Buzzsaw, which was just not what I wanted it to be as a follow-up to Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
it was that was their satire of the art world. It went to Netflix, and it was just very overblown and misjudged, I thought, and they kind of made it a bit kind of giallo horror-y, and it just didn't really work.
Yeah, I remember watching it and just really wanting to like it and not. But yeah. Anything else on Nightcrawler and Jake Gyllenhaal, Sam?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think he is often an underrated actor, and maybe for good reason for his some of his earlier films. Before he found his kind of what he really wanted to do, what he was passionate about. But now he's a very very reliable kind of presence on screen. I think this is one of his best performances, and I think anyone who hasn't seen Nightcrawler should definitely give it a look. It's a really really unique, dark, twisted kind of morality media thriller.
I think Spider-Man is the last thing that I saw him in. But yeah, I mean, I usually I think of Zodiac probably when I think of Jake Gyllenhaal, where yeah, he's playing the nice guy, very intrepid, sort of a youth. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, but sort of caught up in this kind of unimaginably kind of dark and hopeless kind of world, So even he's kind of corrupted by the end of that.
yeah. All right. So I do want to point out James has told us the trailer for Roadhouse came out today. So
Oh God.
yeah, I'm now looking at the poster. It's Jake Gyllenhaal with his shirt unbuttoned, wearing a pair of blue jeans, sitting underneath the neon Roadhouse sign. And it is in post production and scheduled to be released in March. So,
onto Amazon Prime.
yep. Thanks,
Hang on,
Amazon
hang on.
MGM Studios.
I'm just gonna look at the Wikipedia page now.
I
So
liked it.
it's worrying at this point that it's only Jake Gyllenhaal and Danielle Melchior have character names so far. Everyone else, it's just a cast list of the other actors who are in it. So yeah,
I also I really like that Amazon has incorporated MGM into their studio name to try and give them a sense of old school, uh, uh, whatever heritage, and they don't.
Poor MGM. It's been passed around like it's just so much over the years. It's failed so many times, and it just keeps limping on. People keep buying it and just giving it another transfusion, just to get it through another day.
Yeah, and I also didn't know Amazon expanded into film production in 2008. So that is how long Amazon has been in the film game. Very
Wow.
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, that is our Oscar snubs episode. Greg, by the way, he thinks of Prisoners when he thinks of Jake Gyllenhaal.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, well that's Oscar snubs. So that is the end of this one. But we'll be back next time with something else, and hopefully Kieran. But until then, Sam, where could people find you?
You can find me at SSP Thinks Film and at the Film Magazine. Thank you so much to everyone who donated to us over the last week or so, and kept us afloat. It's means a lot and allows us to keep doing what we love to do. So yeah. What have I posted this week? A couple of reviews, I think. There's a review of Alexander Payne's The Holdovers, which just got an Oscar nomination. So check that out. And my review of The Boy and the Heron was up recently as well, if anyone has missed that. And I would say that if you're a fan of animation and Studio Ghibli especially, do try and see that. It might be a bit late to see it in cinemas now, but whenever it comes to a screen near you, do give it your time. It's possibly Hayao Miyazaki's final film and one of his best as well.
Yeah, and let's see, did that get an? It did, animated feature film nomination.
It did, yeah, and I would imagine it's his to lose. I mean, if it might be his final film, why wouldn't they give it to him? Not I'm saying it's
because Elemental came out.
God. Well, yeah. Knowing the history of the Academy, yeah, they'll probably give the win to the OK glossy CG animated one. Yeah.
Definitely. And then you can find me at Jacob Film Guy. I want to reiterate my thanks as well, because I wondered if my review of Mulholland Drive would be the last thing I ever wrote for the film magazine. And it won't be. So that's great. I can continue to think about writing things.
Yeah, I hope you didn't pour everything you had into that.
I did, actually.
I hope there's still something left.
When it comes to writing about David Lynch movies, of course I put everything into it because I love Mulholland Drive. I found this whole, site that has a probably early 2000s. It had to be because it came out in 2001. Style to it, filled with theories and the 10 clues from David Lynch, tons of analysis. It's an interesting site, and I have no idea what I think is really going on in the movie.
I do miss that era of film promotion where there are all this kind of this extra stuff you can find online and all the viral marketing campaigns and stuff. I mean, I think Nightcrawler had that. Actually, that's one thing I forgot to mention. They did like a fake kind of bio for Lou Bloom, like kind of the things he's worked on, and kind of it was like a links in page before links in.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, so go check that stuff out. You can continue to give us money by buying things on our Redbubble store, which is linked down in the description/show notes. Or you can, just give us money. We accept money without the exchange of goods and merely services, aka the writing and this. So, yeah, go support us. Support Joe, our amazing editor, who is, really the driving force behind how we got the funding that we got. So shout out to him and all of our supporters. So that is it. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.